So if you're looking to purchase a property out here in Oahu, Hawaii, you are going to want to understand the escrow process, and that's everything we're going to go through on this video. So stick around to get all the details. See you on the other side. All right, guys, like I mentioned, this is the second part of our two-part video series when it comes to the home buying process. Now, in the first video, which you can see right here, we go over the process of actually looking at homes, getting pre-approved, and everything that entails. This is the process of once your offer has been accepted, what can you expect? And this is where the real work comes in. So we're going to break it down step by step. Now, before we get into that, if this is your first time here, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Patrick Long. I'm a licensed real estate agent out here in Hawaii and have been for nearly a decade. So if you guys have any questions or would like to just talk story, I got my contact information right here, or you can directly DM me on any of my social media platforms. Now, with that being said, let's jump into the escrow process of the transaction before you actually get your keys. So step number one is to open up escrow. Now, before we get into what that even means, you need to understand what escrow is. Now, escrow, as it's commonly known as, or title, escrow and title, is a third-party company that helps facilitate the transaction. They basically cross every T, dot every I, make sure that every document that is needed to do a legal transaction is in place. So they kind of keep the buyer's agent and the seller's agent and all the buyers and sellers in check to make sure that they have everything they need to facilitate a legal transaction. So that is what escrow is. Now, when it comes to opening up escrow, your real estate agent will call the escrow company and say, hey, we've got a new transaction. Here are all the documents that you requested to open up escrow. So that is step one. Step two is where you, the buyer, actually have to do something. So at this point, your escrow officer or your real estate agent will say, hey, it's time to drop off or wire the earnest money deposit. Now, the earnest money deposit is what's agreed upon during the transaction or during the offer. Generally, it's 1 to 2% of the actual purchase price, but this number can be, negotiated accordingly. But these are funds that you will wire or write a check and drop it off to the escrow office. Now, one thing that's important to understand about the earnest money deposit is that it's no additional funds. So if you put an offer in for 500 grand and the earnest money deposit is 5 grand, you are not giving the seller 505 grand. It's simply a deposit, a spit in the hand. It's just basically putting your chips in, saying, hey, I'm serious. Here's my deposit. Here's my paperwork. But if you do decide to pull out of the deal, because Hawaii is a very buyer-friendly state, you can get that earnest money deposit back. The third step is doing inspections. So at this point, you've opened up escrow, you dropped off your earnest money deposit. It's now time for the buyers to do their due diligence. At this point, your realtor or you will select an inspection company that's going to go out, check out the property, and they're going to look at everything from a doorknob that doesn't turn right to a leak in the roof and everything in between. And they're going to provide you a full report, walk you through it, and show you any challenges that they came across. Now, don't be scared if you get this report, because it will be probably about 150 pages long, but it will generally be organized in a summary that says, hey, here are the minor issues, medium issues, and major issues. Now, the next step from there is that if you look at that inspection report and it looks like you need to bring in a professional electrician or plumber to look deeper in, because that inspector generally just gives you a general idea, that's why they're called a general inspector, of any issues that could have come up, you would then bring in that electrician to give you a quote on, let's say, if you had something that was double tapped or if you needed to upgrade the electrical panel. These are things that the general inspector is basically the first person to put up the flag, and then you would bring in a specialist to look into the HVAC system, electrical, plumbing, if there was any issues. At that point, you would then go back to the seller. If you did find any issues, you would provide them a quote of how much it would cost to actually get those things fixed, and you would ask them, hey, it's going to cost $2,500 to fix this electrical issue. I need you to give me $2,500, or I need you to fix that. Now, this is an optional thing. This is what we call request for repairs, and the key word there, guys, is request. It's a request, not a requirement. So this is part of the negotiation stages, but sometimes there's an opportunity for you to get things remedied or potentially get some money from the seller to help you when it comes to closing costs, because you can use that money any way you so choose. But it is another strategy that you can use, especially in this market, where you can get some more money from the seller. Now, once the inspection process is done, you've gone through negotiations, you may have gotten things fixed by the seller, they've given you cash, or maybe everything was fine, you guys all signed off. The next step is to review the seller's disclosure. Now, this document is also called the SRPDS, Seller's Real Property Disclosure Statement. This is basically going to be a simple questionnaire where the seller is going to answer yes, no, not to my knowledge, or non-applicable is the answers for all these questions that someone's going to want to know about the property. At that point, you will review that document. If you have any questions about it, you can, of course, have your realtor dive deeper into anything that they marked as yes. For example, if in the question it says, oh, was any work done to this house that was not permitted, and they mark yes, you're definitely going to want to look deeper into that. So again, that's where your realtor can assist you with reviewing that document with you and diving deeper into any questions that they said yes on. That's generally what you want to see. If you see anything that says yes, you want to dive a little bit deeper into it. So that is the seller's disclosure. The next slew of documents that you will receive if you're purchasing a condo or townhome is called the condo docs. Now out here in Hawaii, it's called the M1 docs or condo docs. And what this is all the documents that the association has that goes over the rules, regulations, the finances of the building, as well as a reserve study, which goes over how healthy their bank account is and any future projects they have, as well as the meeting minutes. What are they talking about in the actual meetings about the association? Is there people who have chickens running around that are causing issues? Are they discussing that they need to redo all the roofs so the elevator's not working? These are important things to understand, because when you buy a condo or townhome, you want to know how healthy is that association. Number one, do they have enough money in their reserves? This is important to understand, because if they don't have enough money in their bank account, if a big expense comes up, let's say the elevator stops working and they need to replace that, you are hoping that they have enough money to replace that. Because if they don't, then you get hit with this huge word that you need to look out for. It is called a special assessment. This is when they don't have enough money, and because you own in that building, you are legally obligated to have to pay for any issues that come across, because you are a partial owner in that building. So if the elevator costs $1 million to replace and they don't have enough money because they haven't been managing their finances well, guess what? All the people who own in that building are now on the hook for the special assessment, where they can come to you and say, hey, it's going to cost us some money to fix this elevator. We didn't manage our money. We don't have enough money. So all the owners need to give us 15 grand right now, or we're going to put a lien on your property. These are things you want to look out for, and once again, why you have a realtor to protect you, to make sure you don't get in these situations, or at least you're aware that they potentially could happen in the near future. The condo documents will help you know where you're at, whether there's a special assessment coming up, or whether there potentially can be one in the future. Now again, guys, that's only for condos and townhomes. Single family homes that don't have associations won't have condo documents. The next thing you would get if you were purchasing a single family home, not a condo or townhome, would be a survey. What a survey is those guys that come out with those little big sticks and basically look through it to see where the property lines are on the property. This is important to understand, because you as a new owner, you want to know, number one, where are my property lines? And number two, you want to know, is there any encroachments? For example, if the owner built a rock wall and that rock wall encroaches or is on your neighbor's lot, if it's more than 6 inches, that neighbor has the legal right to tell you to remove that rock wall, and that can be a very expensive endeavor. Now there's ways to get around this if you do have any encroachment issues. Again, I won't get into it, but that's once again your realtor's job to help facilitate solving any of these challenges that come up. But that's why it's important to get a survey to see if there's any encroachments. The next step is you will get a termite inspection. This is where they're going to send out a termite inspector. He's going to poke around, see if you see any termite droppings or any termite damage. And one thing you want to keep in mind, guys, is out here in Hawaii, we are in the tropics. It's not if you have termites, it's how bad of termites do you have. Everybody has termites. It's just how it is. So it's just really important that when you do the termite inspection, if they do find things, you don't need to freak out immediately. You just need to get a better understanding of where is that termite damage. Is it all over the house? Is it only in one area? Is it in the support beams, or is it just in the cabinets? It really depends on the type of termite damage that you have and whether that's a structural or safety issue, or if that's just a minor thing that we generally all see as property owners out here in Hawaii. Okay, now that you've gone through all of that, the next step would be to get final loan approval. So right now you are pre-approved, which basically means they look through your documents, you look pretty solid, this is how much you're approved for. But the final loan approval is when they send those documents up to the underwriter, or what I like to call the undertaker, because they can kill deals if you made this mistake. And this mistake is running up your credit cards after you're under contract or in escrow by buying a bunch of furniture or buying a new car because you're so excited about the garage that you have that you want a new car in there. You definitely want to make sure that you do not change your financial situation for the worse while you're under contract or in escrow. Once you close, you can buy all the furnishings you want, all the TVs, brand new cars, run up your credit cards, go shopping on Amazon, whatever it is, you can do that after you close. But do not do it while you're under contract or in escrow, because if you do change your debt to income ratio or your financial situation for the worse, you potentially could kill the deal and not get that dream home of yours. And then the last step is once you get to the end of escrow, which generally is 30 to 45 days, that's generally how long a transaction takes, you will go to the escrow office, you're going to want to bring your identification, as well as make sure you stretch your hand, because you're going to have a lot of documents you're going to sign, and you're basically going to sign all the loan documents that are needed to fund the loan. Now, one thing that's important and a pro tip to know out here in Hawaii is that it takes 3 days to close once you sign. You sign on Monday, you fund on Tuesday, and you close, record, and get your keys on Wednesday. It's basically 3 business days. This is important to understand because a lot of different states you can sign, fund, and close and get your keys on the same day. And I've had clients who've signed the documents, looked at me with puppy dog eyes and said, "Hey, can I have my keys?" And I was like, "No, remember I told you it takes 3 business days." And this is generally just how things are in Hawaii. Everything is slower. They usually send your documents snail mail to the city for them to stamp it and record it. So that's just how the process is. It takes 3 business days. And then the last step is you will get a call from your realtor on that 3rd day that's saying, "Hi, congrats, you've actually officially closed." And then they will meet you at the property or set up some kind of exchange for you to get your keys. So that is the entire process. I know it's a lot of steps, and this is why it's really important to have a realtor who can guide you through this process. So if you guys have any questions about the process or are interested in buying a home out here in Hawaii, I would love to talk story with you and give you some more information. So feel free to reach out to me. I got my contact information right here, or you can directly DM me on any of my social media platforms. With that being said, my name is Patrick with PatrickVolneyRealty.com, powered by eXp Realty. Hope you have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon. Aloha.